former Formula One racing driver Michael Schumacher.
Michael Schumacher,
one of the greatest drivers of all time.
Greatest driver in Formula One history.
In critical condition.
The Formula One legend Michael Schumacher's
catastrophic skiing injury.
They're reporting on that tragic ski accident to the town of Albertville in the French Alps.
And we can say that he is fighting for his life.
Michael Schumacher, Schumi of Formula One, 7 world championship titles during his illustrious career, a legend who rewrote the history books, a name that made rivals tremble. But where is he now? Does everyone still remember him? He's now sitting up in a wheelchair. Yes, you heard that right. A 7-time world championship winner in a wheelchair. Today, I'm going to find out everything about what happened to him, from the glory days of domination to the heartbreaking reality that Formula One never wanted to face. 7 world championships, 91 race wins. A name that struck fear into the hearts of every rival on the grid. Michael Schumacher wasn't just a driver, he was a force of nature who redefined what it meant to be a Formula One legend. But today, the Red Baron sits in a wheelchair, fighting the toughest battle of his life. This is the story of glory, tragedy, and a family's unwavering love. This is what really happened to Michael Schumacher. January 3rd, 1969. A small town called Hürth in Germany. A working-class family. A father who was a bricklayer. A mother who ran a canteen at the local karting track. Nobody could have predicted that the boy born that day would become the greatest racing driver the world had ever seen. At just 4 years old, Michael's father built him a pedal cart from discarded parts. When little Michael crashed it into a lamppost, his parents didn't scold him, they took him to the karting track. That decision changed motorsport history forever. By age 6, he won his first championship. By his teens, he was already being called a prodigy. But Schumi's family was poor, they couldn't afford a new engine. Local businessmen had to step in just to keep his dream alive. Every victory, every championship, it was built on sacrifice, determination, and a hunger that nobody could match. 1991, Belgian Grand Prix. A 22-year-old unknown steps into a Jordan Formula One car for the first time. Within one practice session, the entire paddock knew a star had arrived. Journalists whispered his name. The best talent since Stefan Beloff, they said. Benetton snatched him up immediately. And what followed was nothing short of domination. 2 championships with Benetton in 94 and 95. But Schumi wanted more. In 1996, he did the unthinkable. He joined Ferrari, a team that hadn't won a championship in 16 years. A team so broken, even their own drivers called their cars a disaster. But Michael Schumacher didn't come to Ferrari to compete. He came to conquer. This wasn't just greatness, this was immortality. But what made Michael Schumacher different? Why do legends like Lewis Hamilton still call him the greatest? It wasn't just speed, it was perfect. Schumi didn't just drive a car, he became one with it. His fitness regimen was revolutionary. 4 hours in the gym every single day, neck muscles built to withstand G-forces that would crush ordinary men. While other drivers rested, Michael was at the track, testing, pushing, perfecting. Former teammate Giancarlo Fisichella said it best. He didn't even seem to have sweated during races. He was a machine. F1. Racing analyzed his telemetry data in 2003. What they found was shocking. While other drivers either braked or accelerated in corners, Schumacher did both at the same time. He balanced his car with a sensitivity that seemed superhuman. At Monaco, he took corners at 25 kilometers per hour faster than his own teammate. Through hairpins where others lost time, Schumi gained half a second. Every single lap. Martin Brundle, his former teammate, watched Schumacher's telemetry at Suzuka. Full throttle through turn 1, a corner that should be impossible at that speed. Brundle said he was in awe. But beyond the numbers, beyond the records, there was something else. Schumi had a mentality that terrified his rivals, a win-at-all-costs mindset. He would push himself to the absolute limit, lap after lap, hour after hour, until he found speed nobody else could reach. You can be sure, Ross Brawn once said, that if there was a tenth of a second to be found, Michael would find it. That's why they called him Schumi, not just a nickname, a symbol of perfection, of dominance, of a champion who rewrote every rule in the sport. December 29, 2013. The Formula One world was at peace. Michael had retired the year before after his comeback with Mercedes. He was home with his family, his wife Corinna, his daughter Gina, his son Mick. They were on holiday in Méribel, France, a ski resort Michael knew like the back of his hand. He'd been there dozens of times. He owned a chalet there. The morning was beautiful, clear skies, fresh snow. Michael was skiing when he noticed a friend's daughter in trouble. Like the hero he'd always been, he left the marked trail to help her. But beneath the fresh snow, hidden from view, were exposed rocks. Michael struck a rock. He lost control. He was catapulted 10 meters through the air, head first, into a boulder. The right side of his head hit another rock. His helmet shattered into pieces. Blood poured from his skull. The man who had survived 300 Formula One races at 200 miles per hour, who had conquered every challenge on the track, was now lying unconscious in the snow. Within minutes, rescue teams arrived. Michael was conscious, but his words made no sense. He was agitated, confused, not responding to questions. A helicopter rushed him to Grenoble Hospital. When he arrived, doctors discovered the horrifying truth. Severe traumatic brain injury, internal bleeding, massive bruising on the brain. The doctors had one message for the world: extremely serious. If Michael hadn't been wearing a helmet, he wouldn't have survived at all. But even with it, his life hung by a thread. Surgeons operated twice to stop the bleeding, to reduce the swelling, to keep oxygen flowing to his brain. They placed him in a medically induced coma. Days turned to weeks, weeks turned to months. The Formula One legend, the 7-time world champion, the man who seemed invincible, was fighting for his life. And nobody knew if he would ever wake up. The world wanted answers. Millions of fans, heartbroken, desperate to know if their hero would survive. But the Schumacher family made a choice that some couldn't understand: silence. Corinna Schumacher, Michael's wife of nearly 30 years, became his protector. She shut out the world. No updates, no photographs, no information. Why? Because Michael had always said, private is private. But the media didn't care. Journalists dressed as priests tried to sneak into his hospital room. Helicopter company executives attempted to sell his medical records for $54,000. A so-called friend tried to peddle photos of Michael for over $1 million. In 2023, a German magazine published a fake AI-generated interview with Michael, claiming he had spoken to them. It was a lie, a cruel, heartless lie that shattered his family all over again. The family sued. They won. Through it all, Corinna stood strong. She built a state-of-the-art medical facility in their home. She hired a team of doctors, nurses, therapists, all working around the clock. Untold, Michael's former Ferrari boss and closest friend, was one of the few allowed to visit. In 2019, he revealed a heartbreaking truth. Michael is no longer the Michael we knew in Formula One. He is different, but he is here and he is fighting. Fighting, just like he always did on the track. 12 years have passed since that terrible day, and in 2025, for the first time, new details have emerged. Michael Schumacher is no longer bedridden. He can sit up in a wheelchair. He can be moved around his properties in Switzerland and Mallorca. Medical sources say the feeling is he understands some of the things going on around him, but probably not all of them. The 7-time world champion. The man who drove at 200 miles per hour with perfect precision. The legend who won 91 races. He now spends his days in a wheelchair, surrounded by his family, fighting a battle far harder than any he faced on track. His son Mick followed in his father's footsteps. He raced in Formula One for Haas. He wore his father's helmet. He carried the Schumacher name with pride. In the 2021 Netflix documentary, Mick broke down. "I would give up everything just to talk to him, just for that." Corinna, through tears, said, "Michael is here. Different, but he's here. We do everything we can to make him comfortable, to make him feel our family, our bond." She added, "Michael always protected us. Now we are protecting Michael." In 2025, Michael signed a charity helmet with his initials, MS. With Corinna's help, it was the first public acknowledgement of his existence in years. Michael Schumacher gave us everything on the track. Every ounce of speed, every moment of brilliance, every impossible victory. Now it's our turn to give him something back. Respect, privacy, and gratitude. 7 championships, 91 wins, 1 unbreakable legacy. Schumi may not be the man we remember, but he is still here, still fighting. And that in itself is the greatest victory of all. Thank you, Michael, for everything. Formula One is the ultimate world of speed, glamour, and high stakes. But not every story ends with victory and wealth. Some drivers, even world champions, lost everything. This is a tale of ambition, risk, and fortune slipping through the fastest hands in the world. F1 drivers who lost everything. The F1 world champion declared bankruptcy and died penniless after defying his parents. F1 drivers who went broke instantly. These aren't just cautionary tales, they are real stories from the high-octane world of Formula One, where millions are won and lost at the speed of 200 miles per hour. Let's start with one of the most famous examples, James Hunt, the 1976 world champion. Hunt wasn't just a driver, he was a phenomenon. Known for his charisma, charm, and daredevil racing style, he earned the nickname Hunt the Shunt for his aggressive, chaotic approach on the track. But despite winning millions of pounds during his career, Hunt's life after racing tells a tragic story of fortune lost. Hunt's path to stardom wasn't easy. Born to a well-to-do family, he defied his parents' wishes to pursue motorsport. They thought it was too dangerous, too expensive, and far too unpredictable. But Hunt was determined. Without their support, he relied on the backing of Lord Alexander Hesketh, a wealthy aristocrat who had no clue about racing, but loved entertainment and wanted to make Hunt the star of his team. Thus, Hesketh Racing was born. The team quickly gained a reputation not just for racing, but for partying. Mechanics often joked that Hesketh Racing consumed as much champagne as fuel, and that the team had more beautiful women than practical engineers. Despite this, Hunt's talent shone through. By 1975, he was challenging legends like Niki Lauda, and his aggressive style combined with raw speed made him a fan favorite. Hunt wasn't just a racer, he was a celebrity. A symbol of the glamorous chaos that F1 represented in the 1970s. But fame and fortune in F1 do not guarantee financial security. After retiring, Hunt became a name at Lloyd's of London, a system where wealthy individuals took on unlimited financial liability to underwrite insurance policies. Essentially, you could make massive profits or lose everything. For Hunt, it was the latter. Along with a costly divorce and his lavish lifestyle, Hunt's fortune dwindled rapidly. By the late 1980s, it was reported that he had only £180,000 left, a shocking figure considering he had earned millions on the track. James Hunt, the man who defied his parents and conquered the F1 world, had lost nearly everything he once had. Hunt's story, while dramatic, is not unique. Emerson Fittipaldi, a 2-time world champion with Lotus and McLaren, also faced financial peril. Fittipaldi was one of the most talented drivers of his generation, winning his first world championship in 1972 at just 25 years old. After a successful stint with McLaren, he made the fateful decision to leave and join his brother's struggling team, Fittipaldi Automotive. He invested heavily, hoping to turn the team into a competitive force. Instead, the team floundered, and from 1976 to 1980, Emerson watched his fortune shrink as his dream project drained his resources. Fame and talent weren't enough to protect him from financial loss. Financial risk in F1 doesn't only affect retired champions. Even today, young drivers and their families gamble everything for a shot at the top. Esteban Ocon's story illustrates this perfectly. Before he even reached Formula One, his family sold their home and business to fund his karting career. For them, it was all or nothing. Had Ocon failed to progress, the family would have faced financial ruin. These extreme sacrifices highlight the harsh reality of motorsport. Reaching F1 often requires immense personal and financial risk, long before a driver ever steps into a Formula One car. Then there are the pay drivers. Drivers who survive in Formula One only because they bring massive sponsorship deals. Pastor Maldonado, Nikita Mazepin, and others spent their careers balancing on a financial tightrope. The moment funding evaporates, so can their career and sometimes their financial security. In F1, talent alone isn't always enough. Money can mean the difference between survival and instant financial ruin, turning a promising career into a forgotten name almost overnight. Let's return to James Hunt and the most thrilling chapter of his career, the 1976 season. Hunt's closest competitor was Niki Lauda, the Austrian driver renowned for his precision and professionalism. Lauda dominated the season until a near-fatal crash at the Nürburgring left him badly burned and hospitalized. Against all odds, Lauda returned just 6 weeks later, determined to fight for the championship. The final race in Japan became a showdown of legendary proportions. Hunt had to finish ahead to have any chance. Lauda, still recovering, was forced to retire after just a few laps due to torrential rain. Hunt finished third, clinching the World Championship by a narrow margin in one of the most dramatic endings in F1 history. Despite his glory on the track, life off it was far less forgiving. Hunt continued living fast, experiencing highs and lows in both love and finances. His relationship struggles, including divorces and risky financial decisions at Lloyd's of London, left him exposed. Tragically, on June 15, 1993, Hunt suffered a massive heart attack just hours after proposing to his girlfriend Helen. He was only 45 years old. Hunt's story is a stark reminder that fame and talent can't always shield you from life's unpredictability. For a man who raced at 200 miles per hour, life's final curve came too soon. James Hunt and Emerson Fittipaldi are only the tip of the iceberg. Many drivers, from pay drivers to champions, have faced severe financial struggles. Career-ending accidents, poor investments, and lost sponsorships can instantly turn millions into debt. These stories reveal the hidden pressures of Formula One, where the thrill of speed is matched by the danger of financial ruin. Some drivers, after decades of sacrifice and hard work, end up bankrupt, struggling to maintain the lifestyle that once seemed guaranteed by their talent and fame. F1 isn't just about racing, it's about risk, ambition, and sometimes sheer luck. Success is never guaranteed. Behind every podium finish is risk, sacrifice, and sometimes heartbreak. Drivers gamble not just their lives on the track, but also their fortunes off it. For every world champion who thrives, there is another who faces financial ruin. James Hunt, Emerson Fittipaldi, Esteban Ocon, and countless others show us that ambition in the fast lane comes with a high price. Even outside the world of champions, countless F1 drivers live in constant financial tension. Many rely entirely on sponsorship or family funding. Without a strong backer, a driver's career can end abruptly. The pressure is immense. A single bad season, a broken contract, or an injury can erase years of effort and leave drivers in debt, struggling to find their next opportunity. Formula One is a sport where millions can be made, but fortunes can vanish just as quickly, like tire smoke on a hot track. Formula One is more than just racing. It's a story of human ambition, triumph, failure, and financial risk. Drivers like James Hunt remind us that life in the fast lane is exhilarating, but it comes with stakes far higher than the checkered flag. F1. Drivers who lost everything. The F1 world champion declared bankruptcy and died penniless after defying his parents. F1 drivers who went broke instantly. Behind every victory, there's risk. Behind every legend, a story of loss, sacrifice, and ambition.